Good evening. Thank you for accompanying us in this first virtual session, community session, totally in Spanish. The commissioners of the Clackamas County would like to know the experiences of the community. And you can speak directly with the commissioners who are with us tonight. Now I'm going to present them briefly, and they will have an opportunity to have conversation with you guys. The commissioner, Paul Seventh, Kim Humbert, Martha Schrader, Sonia Fisher, and the Commissioner Director, Jim Bernard. We also have with us the administrator of the Clackamas County, Gary Smith. In the chat box, there will be information about resources and a link for, because we want to know how we at the Clackamas County can communicate better with you with important information. In the chat box, you will find a link for that specific. So we will begin tonight by asking directly to you, how can we communicate best with you when it comes to important information? For example, how did you receive the alert emergencies notifications for the smoke problems and for the forest fires back in September? How did you know about the evacuations and the alert signals? And also, we will be listening from you. How can we better communicate in the future with you? Not just in alert events or emergency disasters, but also to share information that is important regarding COVID prevention, amongst other things as well. So this is an opportunity for us to be able to hear from the Latino community and from you to be able to inform us how we can communicate with you better.
Y puede quitar su audio de mudo para poder hablar.
You can unmute your audio to be able to talk. You can raise your hand to make some comment. Or if you want, you can also type your question in the chat box, whatever your preference is.
Hola. Estoy mirando en la cajita del chat que alguien comentó.
I'm seeing in the chat box, somebody commented, we found out through acquaintances. There's also a comment that says, we don't have the option of audio. How can I do that? Janet,
okay, ¿me escucha?
Out loud if you want.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you.
Nosotros aquí en Canby
okay, well, us here
nos
in
enteramos
Canby,
sobre las alertas por medio de las plataformas sociales.
Through the social network platforms.
No, por lo menos yo, mis amistades me mandaron un link
some friends of mine sent
un link de internet donde yo podía entrar y ver qué es lo que estaba pasando.
And see what was going on.
Bajé también una aplicación donde también podía yo ver el nivel de humo, de contaminación que había en Canby, pero prácticamente toda la información yo la recibí por medios de las redes sociales.
Through social networks.
Okay. Muchas gracias por compartir.
Thank you very much for sharing.
Y recuerden que
and remember, the raise hand button function, if you have a comment, is in your Zoom taskbar, either at the bottom or at the top, depending on the device that you're using. Anybody else has another comment or any other way that you have received the information, or you would like to share that? That would be different from through acquaintances or through the social network? Maria, Mercedes has something in the chat, and then we also have Jim.
Sí, Mercedes. Sí, Mercedes hizo el comentario que ellos se enteraron.
Mercedes made the comment that we found out through acquaintances. We would like to receive more information if you have like a monthly bulletin or via basically a monthly bulletin that you would mail out to us. Mercedes, you mean via email or like snail mail, physical mail? Feel free to raise your hand, please, in order to make comments. We would love to hear your voices. Oh, snail mail, physical letter. Okay. Thank you.
¿Algunas otras ideas sobre cómo prefieren recibir información?
Any other idea of how you receive this information? I have another comment here from somebody from Malala. In Malala, my family and I found out because of a phone call from an acquaintance. Some people received the alarm through phone, but others didn't receive anything. And Santa from Malala, did the alert come into your phone in English or in Spanish? Janet is also making the comment that the fastest way for her would be via social network or having access to the Clackamas County website specifically in Spanish, directly in Spanish.
Jim. Jim. Oh, gracias, Martín. Jim, adelante, por favor.
My name is Jim. I'm from.
Please go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I sent a letter in on the 22nd of October to the administrator. My concerns are those of us south of Molalla in unincorporated Clackamas County are basically outside of cell phone coverage. So if the emergency alert went out by cell phone, many of us were not able to receive that. I have a question for Commissioner Sabas, since he lives in Estacada. There is, I believe, in Estacada, a low power AM radio broadcast station that emanates from Clackamas County or the Emergency Operations Center. I'm wondering if that in fact is correct and if that could be used for people outside of cell phone coverage south of Molalla. And I have other comments, but I'll leave it at that right now.
So Jim, I do not have an answer to your question, and I actually live in the Oak Grove, Milwaukee area. I do not live in Estacada.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought
no worries.
I thought you were out there. Well, that's something I would ask the EOC to check into. Something, and that would help with notification of residents. But the other part of my letter on the 22nd of October concerned the ability for those of us who were standing up and trying to fight the fire, even though we knew we were supposed to be evacuated, how could we get information back to the EOC? And I don't believe that the amateur radio community was stood up. I don't believe they were called on. And I can say that because I am a member of Clackamas County Amateur Radio Emergency Services. So that is another concern. We need to get information from the EOC concerning the fires and where we should or should not be going. And two, we can provide, I think, valuable information back to the EOC as far as situation reports.
Thank you, Jim. Commissioners have heard, and I made myself a note. I am a liaison at the Emergency Operations Center, and I made myself a note. Es un buen tema considerar que las notificaciones salieron a través de celular. Entonces, el tema es, ¿qué pasa con las personas que tienen o muy poco servicio?
Some people got notification that some of these things were notified through cell phone. What is going on is some people don't get any cell reception, maybe. Some people aren't getting the messages at all. This is something that the commissioners have already taken into account, and we're going to explore further. Thank you very much, Jim, for your comments.
This was, in my opinion, a small disaster compared to what a 9/0 earthquake would be. And if we were taxed to the limits with this small fire, and I know you have raised eyebrows, what in the hell are we going to do with a 9/0 earthquake? We need to figure it out. Yes. And we need to figure it out as a community.
Muchas gracias, Jim, por tus comentarios. Vamos a tomar todo eso en cuenta y por eso.
Thank you very much, Jim, for your comments. We're going to keep all of that into account. And for that reason, we're going to have sessions just like this one to be able to think about all the possibilities and how to better communicate this to the community. Now, we were with Santa.
Santa, si estás hablando, tú estás en modo...
Santa, if you're talking, you are probably in mute.
Santa, estás en mudo. No sé si estás hablando o si...
Not sure if you're talking or not, Santa, you're muted.
¿Estás ahí, Santa?
Are you there, Santa?
Parece que Santa está teniendo problemas de audio. Posiblemente.
It seems as though Santa's having audio problems. If you can leave your comment in the chat box, please, Santa.
Vamos a regresar con Santa. Ahora si
we'll come back with Santa now. If the rest of the participants would like to use their raise hand button, and we can continue.
Habían unos comentarios antes de...
And there were some comments earlier. The comment from Jim Mauda. He's talking about the community of Canby. We live in Canby, and we found out via Facebook and via the Canby Now group in Facebook. Yes, thank you very much, Mauda. We received that you live in Canby and that you found out via Facebook and through the group Canby Now, the equivalent for the Latino community. Canby Ahora. Thank you. And also, Janet is also saying that via the phone apps, that's a really good option to communicate with the Latino community.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. Remember that you can click or tap on the raise hand button if you have a comment, and you can do it. You can also talk live, or you can just type in your comment or question in the chat box. And also, I'm a little bit interested in knowing if there's an app that the person was making reference to when she was suggesting that maybe through a phone app we could communicate with the community, the Latino community. Do you have an app in mind? Well, not me. My comment was specifically about how we're receiving the messages. A lot of the messages that we've been receiving were interpreted or translated by people that were not originally from that message, or that they were sending that message originally. So what's happening is that the messages were arriving late because they weren't being translated on real time by the people that were actually issuing them. So the message had already changed. 2 or 3 times we had been receiving that we're in evacuation, and in stage 1 of evacuation, when in fact we were in stage 2, etc. And a lot of the messages were related to the social services or through friends or family who were impacted the most or were most up to speed on what was happening.
Muchas gracias, Patty.
Okay, thank you very much. We hear you, that the notifications that you received probably weren't in real time. So when you receive the notifications over an evacuation order, because it had arrived late, the county was actually, or the area, the evacuation area was already now in a higher stage of alert, and you were still receiving a lower stage. Is that what you were saying? Did I interpret that correctly? Did I understand that correctly?
Sí.
Muchas gracias.
Yes, you did. Okay, thank you very much. I have another comment from Mr. Antonio. What plan do you have in case of an earthquake or any other natural disaster where there's no self signal, to educate specifically the Latino community? Yes, thank you very much, Antonio. That's a topic very similar to what the previous gentleman was saying. We need to keep in mind that there are members of the community that don't have good cell phone signal. And there are actually people that have no cell signal. So we have to find ways to communicate with those community members. Thank you, Maria. And then Director Bernard has a comment he wants to make.
Well, first, you need to sign up on an app to get the alert. So we need to make that available. Secondly, we as a region have been practicing for the big one, the earthquake, for decades. And there's a ham radio. Ken can say more about that group, which somebody mentioned. I don't know why that wasn't deployed during the fire. That's a good question and something we should look at. But as far as people outside, not with a ham radio or not with cell phone access, the sheriff knocked on thousands of doors telling people to get out. I don't really know what else, but I think the Facebook, if you guys are looking at Facebook, Instagram or other things, would be a great tool that we should deploy in circumstances like this.
Muchas gracias, Director Bernard.
Thank you very much, Director Bernard. We have another question and a comment from Janet. For the air, it's air visual, correct? Do we need the alerts and the information in Spanish?
No sé si Patty tenía su mano levantada.
I don't know if Patty, she had her hand raised. I don't know if Patty wanted to say something.
Patty, ¿tiene un nuevo comentario o es su mano?
Patty, do you have a new comment? Your hand's raised since last time.
Okay. Tenemos otro comentario del señor Antonio.
We have another comment from Mr. Antonio. He's saying, we would like some type of training, specifically referred to disasters. Also, another comment from Vicky, we need more apps to get informed. Janet Diaz has a chat group, and that's the way that I receive the most amount of information.
Y otro comentario de
another comment
las alertas
by Janet.
Al mismo tiempo
the alerts weren't arriving at the same time at all of the telephones in Canby.
Okay. Gracias.
Y tenemos dos comentarios, uno de
We have two comments, one from Antonio.
Antonio, sí. El señor Antonio, eso es lo que...
Now, Mr. Antonio, yes, that is exactly what we're talking about. That we have no information about those resources being available. There are classes, or where could we find more information? Also, another comment from Janet. We didn't have the information for the shelter places at the times of the fires. And there isn't a trust relationship established between the county and the Latino community. Thank you very much. I hope that that's what we're here for right now, to strengthen that relationship between the Clackamas County and the community. It's a good start, in my opinion. We would also like to know, besides the alert messages and the fires, is there any other thing or something that you'd like the commissioners to know about the pandemic, COVID? Anything you'd like to share with the commissioners about COVID?
Tenemos María que quiere decir algo.
We have Maria who wants to say something.
Buenas tardes.
Well, good afternoon. The only thing that I wanted to comment was that at the time of the fires, I was outside of state, but I had my daughters here. So the information that I was receiving from everything that was happening in Canby was very confusing. I didn't have a website or social media. It was all mixed information, different. And for me, it was very confusing to try to learn what situations they were finding themselves in. So I think that's very important, that not only the ones that are here, for the difficulties that they're having as families, that I was out of state and all I wanted to do was find out if my daughters were safe. Yes, that's very important. Thank you very much for your comment, Maria.
May I respond?
Of course.
You know, the fire took place overnight. We were ill prepared for that windstorm. I don't know how we would have prepared for it. So the rapidness of the fire, I mean, it literally took thousands of acres overnight. So the shelters weren't set up because there was no need for them at the time. The communications didn't occur because it took place overnight. So I don't know how we would have improved on that. But you know, for example, Commissioner Ken Hubbardston lives up the street from me. He was told to evacuate. I live in Canby. I thought my house was on fire. It was so bad, but it wasn't. So it's very difficult to pinpoint where that disaster is. I mean, I'm a commissioner. I have ready access and I didn't know.
Muchas gracias, Director Bernard.
Thank you very much, Bernard. Yeah, definitely. The fire caught us all off guard. Also, I was in the evacuation area. Yeah, it was difficult to know what to do because we had never experienced. We had never gone through something like that. And so, not only for the Latino community, but for this is for everybody. This is a good learning curve. And I hope that we can continue to have these sessions so that we can continue to learn how to do things in a better way. Anybody else with their raised hands? Yeah, we've got Yolanda right now, and then Patty. Yolanda, please go ahead. Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me okay? Yes, good afternoon. Oh, I live in Clackamas County and I belong to the Canby City. I'm a voluntary, I'm active, and I help in several places. But my concern, I heard you talk a lot about the fires, is about the pandemic that we're right now going through. Unfortunately, my family was affected. And I thought that, because I have my kids that speak English, I do as well. I thought that it would have been easier for us to get resources, but my husband and I, we don't have medical insurance. So to find a place to get tested, that was the first complication we met. Right now, there were a lot of places that were full. That caught us by surprise. We had to go several times with my kids and then my husband and then me. And then there are all these places that ask for insurance. So we looked for online resources. I only found 3 or 4. And the county of Clackamas says that you put a place where you put your zip code, and there aren't a lot of them. The other thing was that if you speak in English, then you can get it. Like I said, I speak English, but I didn't ask if they spoke Spanish or other languages. But the first impression I got was they didn't ask you, do you need interpretation? Do you need help because you speak another language? They just give you the information in English. And so that's one of my main concerns, that people look where to find more information in our language and what resources we can have at hand so that we can get informed. We have to survive. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much, Yolanda. Martin, I can't see the raise hand function. Who was the person? The next person? It was Patty. Oh, Patty, please go ahead. Yes, my comment was regarding one of the fires. Mr. Jim Bernard commented just a while ago that him being commissioner and him being at one of the highest levels in Clackamas, that it was difficult for him to navigate how to know the evacuation process and routes. But we are in agreement that's, that the fires is something that's going to be happening every year, maybe not in the quantity or with the force that happened this year, but we know that it's going to continue to happen. So what are we doing as a county, as an organization, as a community to prepare better so that this information is propagated so that the people that are higher up in the government know this, but also the people that don't have access to the internet or a phone or that don't have access to technology like this can also navigate the system. Much of the time, we think that because I know, everybody else knows. And then in the agency, we realized that even the ones that we thought knew didn't know. And so also we are using the people that already have this relationship with the Latino community. How is it that you can use them and support them so that this information can be propagated faster, and so that it's also correct information.
Muchas gracias, Patty.
Thank you very much, Patty. And now, Maria, we have Rocio.
Rocío, adelante, por favor.
Please, Rocio, go ahead. Good evening. Can you hear me? Yes, good evening. We can hear you. My comment is about the pandemic that we're right now going through. In my case, like the other lady mentioned, we would need a little more information and help for the people that were maybe affected, well, not affected, but that are like in the first line of defense. In my case, I've been almost 3 months in quarantine because my job, there's always somebody that tests positive and all that. It's very worrying because we get rested at work and they tell us to come back, but then it's very desperating. We would like to know a little more and have a little more resources and have more help and to get help in some way, because unfortunately our apartment got flooded as well right now, and we're in a temporary situation right now, not a very stable place with my family. I would like to have more access to resources in order to be able to survive this better. Thank you, Rocio.
Y tenemos Olga.
We have Olga.
Olga, adelante, por favor.
Olga, go ahead, please. Hello, can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. Hello, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here and listening to all these big names. Thank you to the Candy community for participating. And Maria, thank you for sending that information. I was able to receive it. Of course. All right, so I think that the main concern is like, it's been commented by the rest of the participants. I think it's very important, above all, to try to, how can we work together with these organizations in our community so that these resources are reachable by the participants and here in the county of Clackamas. I think it's a very important thing. The county needs to work very hard so that we can collaborate and work together so that we can be on the same page to be able to help our community here in the county.
Sí, muchas gracias, Olga.
Yep. Thank you very much, Olga.
No se le olvide usar el botoncito para alzar la mano si tiene algo que decir.
Don't forget to raise your hand if you have something to say. You can use that button. I'm going to take some comments from the chat box. From Janet, she's saying, in some way, I was able to find the option in Spanish in the county website, but a lot of us don't know how to arrive to this option. And another comment from Santa. For the Hispanic community in Malala, it's been very difficult because everything is in English. We need for it to be in both languages, English and Spanish. And another comment from Janet. We're not ready for any natural disaster. Another comment from Patricia.
Especially for those more rural areas in Clackamas County, there are so many Latinos working on farms, always listening to the radio. Una pregunta de Rocío. Mi pregunta es, ¿cómo es?
My question is, how is it that, you know, that the fires that have happened this year will continue to happen every year, according to the information that I saw?
Esta pregunta es para los comiciados.
Is that question for the commissioners? Oh, it is for the commissioners. How is it that how can we be better connected with the Latino community so that we can all be on the same page?
Well, I think that's why Maria is here tonight, is to make that connection. Maria's been at the county a while, but in this position, not very long time. And we're working on addressing the language barrier on our website. And I think there was a question about fires in our forest. You know that Clackamas County's 50% forest, and most of it's national, federal forests. And frankly, my phone and battery's going dead. Frankly, we need to better manage our forests, and we need to get in there and remove debris and protect this valuable resource. It's not going to get better. So we need to take this, make an effort to protect what we have.
Muchas gracias, Director Bernard.
Thank you very much, Director Bernard. Martina, I don't know if we have the people that raise their hands or first take care of the chat comments. Yeah, thank you. We have Patricia. And then I don't know if Olga, if you have anything again, but okay, no, yeah, we've got Patricia. Okay, Patricia, go ahead.
Here, okay. Can you hear me now?
Sí, la podemos escuchar.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. This is a great idea to have this meeting via Zoom and have you guys, the commissioners, live here. I'm a family resource coordinator and I work in the North Clackamas School District area. So regarding partnering, it would be, okay, so first of all, it would be a great idea to have just one page within the Clackamas County site that it would be in Spanish, so people could easily access that. And one of the problems, I work a lot with connecting families with resources, and basically my job is the navigation, which nowadays it has become increasingly more difficult for two reasons. The phone trees are not working properly. Sometimes people are not, all of them are not in the county offices. So that's one reason. And then, you know, the different departments in the county and organizations are pretty much overwhelmed with so many phone calls. So it would be nice just to have one place so families can access that in Spanish and don't have to navigate the different pages in Clackamas County. And in regards to partnering with organizations, there's a lot of organizations in Clackamas County and even from Multnomah County that we partner with you guys and receive grant money. So the partnership, I think, is something that is very feasible, and just to get more in communication with the agencies, and also to put that information in that webpage in Spanish. If you have this, you can call this agency who you know it has received grants for different programs. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Patricia.
Thank you very much, Patricia. And now we have Mr. Sabes, who's got his hand raised.
Yes, my question to either Maria or Martine or anyone, is there a place in Canby, for example, we're getting a lot of calls from our fellow citizens in Canby, and for those maybe who don't have good internet access or phone access, is there a physical place in Canby where there is a Spanish-speaking people can actually make a connection, a place of worship or a place of business, a community center where someone can help navigate people who are looking for information or looking for connections? It's becoming aware to me from listening that this is an important thing to do. I appreciate that there are people out there that are joining us tonight that are helping our fellow citizens navigate our systems, and this is extremely valuable. So I want to thank everyone for participating this evening and bringing this to our attention. But I was wondering if there is a place in Canby.
Tenemos varios residentes de Canby.
We have several residents in Canby in this meeting. If somebody wants to answer, that I would like to take the opportunity to say that we have a lot of leaders, not just in the community of Canby, but also in other communities in the Clackamas County, who where there are organization leaders or they're just community leaders. We have a manager from one of the apartments that's specifically for the field workers and farm workers. We also have a very active leader from the United community. And we have a lot of community leaders. How can the Clackamas County connect with you in order to help us to propagate that information? Well, that Dr. Bernard said, I'm here, I'm just one person, and that'll take the jobs and works of everybody so that we can propagate the information that we have from the Clackamas County. Anybody else has another suggestion? Yes, Maria, I think Olga wants to say something. Olga, please, go ahead. Thank you. From the community of Canby's, I could say, and I can say that we are very fortunate of having our organization, Puentes de Cultura, Culture Bridges, which currently works with the Latino community. I think that currently, I feel that Canby is very well informed, even more than other communities. Now, the difference is in Canby is that I think we have more people. How could I say this? We also have the Canby Now webpage or page. We have that, and we have people that are helping us like Janet there and other members of the community to allocate resources into our community. And even though there are other communities like Malala that have decided to be members of this group. But I think that resources, there are plenty. And I think that it's a good organization, but again, it's this connection that with the county that needs to happen. It's that trust that needs to happen. And we have to develop that partnership so that we can be on the same page where, you know, with Culture Bridges, there have been a lot of time, well, I've spent a lot of time there, and of all the job and all the work that has happened there, they gained the trust of the Canby community. And I think that's very important. And so now, how can Bridging Cultures trust the county in the same manner so that we can have more information from other communities surrounding Canby and the Clackamas County? But yes, of all the resources, yeah, Canby, thanks to Janet, you know, I think she's so resourceful, and I learned so much from her, and I bring that into the county and teach it to the people in the county. But I think Canby is really lucky to have a really good organization. Thank you very much. We need somebody like Janet or you or more Santas in the Malala area. I'm going to go to the chat box before we can talk to the other raised hands. I don't know if there's new comments. I'm going to grab some chat box comments and then we're going to go to you. Yolanda says, we are very concerned because a lot of us are going to end up without jobs and there aren't many resources in these cases. Well, another comment from Guadalupe. Hello, good afternoon. Unfortunately, here in Malala, all the information is in English. And we'd like to also be taken into account as a Latino community because these forest fires in the pandemic have brought a lot of chaos and fear. Another comment from Janet says, we use the Mexican stores to post information. And Antonio has a suggestion. What about the Oregon Food Bank? And Santa says from Malala, I agree, Malala needs the connection with the commissioner, with the commissioner of the city of Malala. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, I think that's what she means.
Okay, María, parece que tenemos Patricia. No sé si
Maria, it looks like we have Patricia. I don't know.
Janet.
Patricia wants to say something again, and also Janet. So first, Patricia. Let's go first with Patricia, and then let's go Janet.
Thank you. In terms of in that area of Canby and Molalla, there's an organization called Todos Juntos, and they do work with a lot of families. I'm sure you've heard of, you all have heard of it. I work for Metropolitan Family Service, which you probably are familiar with too. And so they would be a great partner to contact in terms of doing outreach to families. And I just want to mention something really quick in terms of resources and then again, navigation. And let me give you the best example is being really frustrating for families to access rent assistance. And basically because all the information that CHA has on their website through in the county web place is in English, and it really doesn't say much about the journey, the client's journey, if you know what I mean by the client's journey. So I mean that what happens after you leave that message and with your phone number for them to call you, what is exactly the process after that, how long it takes. And I can give you the comparison when I went into the Portland website, City of Portland website, with one of these grants that they got from the CARE Act. And I can't remember the name of the grant right now, but it was very well explained there, the qualifications and what the process would be. They're now on a wait list. But there's so many families that are trying to apply for rent assistance. They call and they leave their names. Yes, I know the county's overwhelmed. It takes about 2 weeks, but then after that, I don't know exactly what the process is. And one of the things that I've been trying for months and months is trying to partner with them. And I did give them the idea to use us. There's family resource coordinators all over the county, sort of to partner with us so we can help with the screening, we can help preparing the applications, we can get all the proof of income or whatever paperwork that I'm not familiar, that, you know, I don't know exactly what the client journey is. So just keep that in mind. We do want to partner with you. We want more, for a lack of a better word, transparency, and we want to be able to help and get, you know, the help to the family, especially because when I give out a phone number, I tell them, okay, you're gonna call here, you're gonna press this for Spanish, then you're gonna wait and you're gonna press another, blah, blah, blah. But then I don't know exactly how long it's gonna take. And sometimes they never get a phone call. So what happens is the trust the families have in me, that gets broken. And I wish I could have more information to tell them exactly, okay, this is gonna take 2 weeks and then they're gonna give you this. And then I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. That's what
muchas gracias por sus comentarios, Patricia, y muchas gracias a todas las.
Thank you so very much for your comments, Patricia. And thank you so much for the coordinators that we have in the Clackamas County to help the Latino families to establish these connections with our services. We appreciate it very much. Now let's go with Janet. Please go ahead, Janet.
Con respecto a las conexiones que
debemos. Regarding the conditions that we're supposed to have with the county, it's what happens is the services from the county need to be inclusive and equitative. And the fact that if you're going to offer a service, me personally, I'm interested specifically that.
Which
Latino is directing that service, or to which Latino it's being directed, because you know, we have different Latinos with different legal status. And sometimes when we're mentioning the county, it means for us that the service is not for us, that the service is not for everyone, and also that the consequences to be able to access that service, a lot of us are very careful when talking about a public charge, and the information doesn't say clearly what type of service it is and who it is for. So in order to be able to establish that connection, we need to have the information in a transparent manner for the Latino community. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much, Janet. It's very important to keep in mind what service we're offering, and it's not always available for all people because it'll depend on their legal status in this country. We're going to keep that in mind when we establish communication about the service, about being clearer about. Yeah, we have Commissioner Dora Schrader who wants to say something. Yes, and we don't have too much time. Yolanda, thank you for your time. Please go ahead, Commissioner Schrader.
Yeah, thanks for doing this tonight. I had a question. A number of years ago, we worked very hard in Canby to have the library be kind of a center for distribution of information to our Latino community. And I'm curious, and of course now with COVID, we don't probably have access, but is that still ongoing there? And if not, is that a safe place when it reopens that people would feel comfortable getting resources and information? So I don't know if there's any outreach that we've done specifically in any recent years in both of Molalla or Estacada or Canby, but I know at one point there was a huge push and opportunity to make that happen there. And the other question I would have is, in terms of housing, are folks finding that there just isn't enough housing in these areas where they live? And is there a capacity issue that we need to be addressing with housing? Those would be the two things that I'd be interested in learning more about. So.
No sé si alguien tiene alguna contestación para la comisionada Schrader. Comisionados Fisher y comisionado director Bernard, voy a
Commissioner Fisher and Bernard, I'm going to make sure that Yolanda Sanchez, if she has a comment, and then we're going to go with you. If anybody has something to say about Commissioner Schrader's. Yeah, hello, thank you again. The comment is about what Olga was commenting. Canby is very lucky for to have so many information by different groups. The only thing that we're pending is that connection. Well, I participate in a lot of places, like I said before. Unfortunately, there isn't a lot of participation by the rest of the Latino community in leading in this type of information. Janet is one of those. She's in Bridges, and I've been there several years. She participated pretty often. I'm currently very busy because they're using people. There are resources, but there aren't people that would want to participate. To be here as leaders that are the voice of those programs. Also, there are people from the city that are asking if they can be a part of the city program. There aren't enough people to carry the voice and so that they can provide the information. They want to do it, but I know they want to give out that information. Olga also has a position. each of us is doing their part, but it's pretty difficult for us to do everything, you understand? It's very interesting. I want to be a part of something, but at the same time, we are the ones that represent so many things. So it's a little complicated and it's good. I hope that we can put more resources together. Pati Zavala also has a program. There's there's plenty of information. The thing is to be able to compile it and find other people that continue or that want to help this organization. Thank you. Thank you, Jolanda. Commissioner Fisher, we have some answers to the questions that the Commissioner Schrader made. Commissioner Schrader, one of the comments is,
trust is a big key within our Latinx population. And another comment, housing es carísima in Canby.
Housing is very expensive.
Thank you for your patience, Commissioner Fisher. Go ahead. Muchas gracias, comisionada Fisher. Adelante con su comentario y después vamos con el director Bernard.
Thank you very much for your comment, Commissioner Fisher. Let's go ahead with your comment, and then we'll continue with Chair Bernard.
I had a question. I'm sorry. I wasn't sure that I was supposed to speak when I was called on. Sorry about that, Maria. I really appreciate Janet's comments regarding transparency and that not all services are available for all people. I think that's a very important message for us to hear. And one thing that I would like to know, I know that we have worked hard as a county to make sure that we are inclusive, that we do not ask questions for services that are being received so that people will feel safe, and we've made an effort to do that. But I'm curious, and Maria, maybe this is something for you or the Equity Office to better educate us. I would really like to know what services are that we provide at the county level are determined based on legal status, what services aren't available, what services are available, and where are the discrepancies. I would really like to know that. So that's something we can learn, we can work on later. And I also just want to say how incredibly valuable it is for us to hear firsthand the challenges based on what information is received when and how, because we can imagine it, what it might be like, but actually hearing it from you is so important to us. So thank you for taking the time.
Muchas gracias, Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Fisher. I want to remind the participants to keep in mind that your communication is being transmitted through the commissioners through interpreters. And so when you speak, please keep in mind that the interpreters need to interpret. So if you can slow down a little bit so that everything that you have to say can be communicated. Now, let's go with Director Bernard, with Chair Bernard. And
actually, Sonia almost said what I was going to say, and that as far as I know, there is no service in Clackamas County that cares whether you're a citizen or a resident. And if there is a difference, I think that our administrator would like to know, because we don't care whether you're a citizen. We care that you live here, and it's our responsibility to provide the services you need. So don't hesitate to reach out if you are told you can't get the services because you're not a citizen. We don't care.
Muchas gracias, Director Bernard.
Thank you very much, Director Bernard. Commissioner Savas?
Yes, so thank you for answering my question. It sounds like there are places and there are people in Canby and maybe some in Molalla as well. And I heard very clearly tonight that you are looking for, I guess, trust and a connection. And I'm just asking the question, is a connection but a connection that is actually a person or a liaison from the county or a contact person, something that you're looking for, as I try to better understand what you all mean by a connection. So would that help if there was someone at the county, a phone number that you could call to make those connections, and a person that you could learn to trust? Would that help?
I will keep my eye on the, voy a estar mirando la cajita del chat para ver si hay
I'll keep my eye on the chat box and see if there are answers to the Commissioner Stavis question. Now we're going to go with Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you. So the other thing that I would like to know, I know Chair Bernard did a good explanation that the residency or citizenship shouldn't be a factor of what services people in Clackamas County receive. But I do know that there is a fear of receiving services, a fear potentially of calling law enforcement when there might be an issue, a fear of getting public health services, or other fears based on what's happened to some people and being removed from our community because of legal status by federal agents. And so what is helpful for us as your county commissioners is to understand what's going on in our community so that we can be stronger advocates with our federal and state partners on these issues. And Maria, actually, before she was in this office, has been an incredible source of information for us, but we need to keep it going. We need to continue this diligence, even with a change in a presidential administration. We still have to remain diligent on these issues because it's important to our community.
Yes. Muchas gracias, Comisionada Fisher.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Fisher. We're going to see about comments in the chat box. The service to the public in the County of Clackamas office is very important, and especially in Spanish. And another comment from the chat box is,
regarding trust in different legal statuses among the Hispanic community, it would be important to not solely rely on the sheriff's office to spread the word in person during times of disaster due to valid fears of interacting with law enforcement. Muchas gracias por ese comentario, Carlina.
Thank you very much for that comment, Carlina. Maria Perez. Patricia wants to say something.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to add that in terms of, yes, I understand that almost all the services that the county provide are for, all, they don't make a difference in terms of status. However, I think it would help if it's more publicized, that this is not going to be a public charge. We don't relay this information with federal agencies, et cetera, et cetera. I think if it's more publicized, people will at least see it or hear it somehow and be less fearful of asking for help. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Patricia.
Thank you very much, Patricia. Any other comments? I will also continue to monitor the chat box. Let's go with Olga, please. Thank you. Well, like Patricia was saying, I think that it's very important. One, as an employee of the county and part of the community, one of the things that I think is that they confuse us. What's the county, what's the state, what's federal? And a lot of times it's about educating people to note the differences between where the funds come from, if it's federal, if it's local. They have a little bit of education could also help so that our community can exist without fear. Like an example, short time ago, I spoke to a person who was fearful to apply for energy assistance. And I had to help her with the process, telling her this is not a public charge, and to explain what the difference would be, which one would affect her and which one wouldn't. And so I think that it would be a good thing to educate our community and our organizations as well regarding where the funds come from. Thank you very much, Olga. I also want to remind you that in the chat box, there's a link for the survey so that you can inform us, the Clackamas County, how we can better communicate with the Latino community. Important information. We have a little over 5, we have 6 more minutes to continue to take questions. And then we're gonna go to the comments by the commissioners.
No estoy mirando nuevos comentarios.
I'm not seeing new comments.
Muchas gracias a todos los participantes.
Thank you to all the participants that need to leave a little earlier. Thank you for participating and for having this information reach us. It's very important. If there are no further questions, we have one more person. Thank you, Martin, for keeping me at 100% here. Let's go with Rocio. Yes, good evening. I just wanted to thank all the commissioners for taking the time to be able to hear their voices. Sometimes we have access to apps or applications actually to be able to apply for the help. But like Olga said, we're confused sometimes. And so it's a matter of educating the people to see what affects us and how. Just like this could probably help me, but maybe it could affect me in a certain way. So then I won't do it because of that. And so it would be very good to be explained on and educated on what and how it affects us. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening. Thank you very much, Rocio.
Ahora vamos a ir con los comisionados. Vamos a tomar, van a tener oportunidad cada
uno. We're going to go to the commissioners. Each of them are going to have a chance of making closing comments to close this session and to appreciate the participants for being in our public tonight, and everybody will have a couple of minutes to share their message. Thank you very much. Who would like to go first? Or should I choose?
Go ahead and choose.
Yeah. Then go for it, Chair Bernard.
First, thank you for participating tonight, and I can assure you Clackamas County could do better. This whole country could do better. Talking to our members of the Latino community, we're learning. We've got a lot to learn, and I think that what's happened in this country in the last few years has made it very difficult. And the next 4 years, I hope, will make your lives a lot better. And I hope Clackamas County will be there to make sure that happens. And we've hired equity and inclusion folks to make sure that we reach out to our residents, no matter what your color, and provide the services you need when you need them safely. So thank you all very much. And it's been an honor serving with you. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Director Bernard.
Thank you very much, Chair Bernard. Commissioner Humbertson.
Gracias. I will not be with you after December of this year, but I can assure you that the commissioners that remain are 100% dedicated to equity, diversity, and inclusion, and that this county administration should service everyone in this county fairly and equitably. What I do look forward to is Bridging Cultures barbecues this summer after we get through the COVID. I enjoyed them in the past and I look forward to them again. Buenas tardes.
Muchas gracias. Comisionada
Thank you
Fisher.
very much. Commissioner Fisher.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for participating. Thank you, Maria, Martine, for pulling this together. And thank you to our leaders in equity, diversity, and inclusion for recognizing this need for the commission to be better connected with all parts of our community. So really, really appreciate it. Let's please continue the conversation. Please keep in touch with us. Hearing the stories is ever so important and very, very appreciated. Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Schrader.
Está en mudo.
You're on mute, Commissioner.
It's because occasionally I have barking dogs. Well, I just want to thank everybody for having this information session with us. Years ago, I worked very closely in Canby with the Latino community, and I'm actually really looking forward to doing that again. Back then, again, there were always issues about housing, access to health, access to information, access to our libraries, how our children were being educated, and overcoming language barriers, and all of those kinds of things that that happen, I think, in our rural communities with our Latino folks. And so I'm looking forward to really digging down deeper into this and really doing everything we can to help our community out there in the rural areas of Clackamas County, and particularly in housing. So thank you.
Muchas gracias, Comisionada Schrader.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Schrader. And Commissioner Paul Salas, please go ahead.
Well, thank you all for attending, and thank you for being the leaders in your community and helping your families and friends navigate our system. I will say that sometimes a lot of what we do and how we communicate is not even clear to those of us who speak English. So we can always do better in how we communicate. And it's also obviously a barrier when we don't understand how you feel or how you interpret our communications. So situations or opportunities like this tonight are very powerful, and they're very helpful to let us know that we still have work to do to better communicate, to better understand your needs. And we are, as Commissioner Humbertson stated, we are dedicated to helping bridge the gaps, improve trust, and we will find a way to do our work better. And give us a chance. Give us your trust. Give us a chance, and we will help. So thank you so much.
Muchísimas gracias a los comisionados.
Thank you very much to all the commissioners. And thank you to the Administrator, Gary Smith, for being with us this evening. And to all the participating in this meeting, we are very pleased that you've taken time to share your time with us and to help us understand a little more how to reach you with important communication, how to reach our important Latinx community. I hope this is the first of many sessions we have with you, because I think that we can be better informed by taking into account that you are the experts for us. We want to learn from you, and we also want to have the information reach to you, hopefully before the next disaster hits our doors, that we're able to, hopefully we're able to have figured out a lot of details. But like Commissioner Seves says, this is very difficult, even when someone speaks in English or speaks English, especially for the people that don't speak English. So we appreciate your time very much, and we will be in contact and in touch. Please connect with us, call us, let us know what can we do better? How can we improve our services? We are here to serve you. Make us responsible so that we can continue to connect with you and keep contacting you and strengthening our relationship, which is so important, not just with the Latinx community, but all the community of the Clackamas County, which is, you can write to us if you have any comments, or if you have ideas about how to strengthen that connection. You can contact us at our Equity and Inclusion office. And the email is right now in the chat box. It's edi@clackamas.us. And lastly, I'd like to thank my team, my support team, the officer of the Office Equity and Inclusion, Martin Coban, and Dylan Blaylock, technical officer, and everybody that made tonight a success. And for some reason, the word left my head in Spanish, success. And for all of you that have to be many weeks on end for this to be a success, thank you very much, because the commissioner's time and also the Latinx community's time is very valuable. I appreciate you very much for being here with us tonight.
Adios. Adios.